This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so I am logged in here to my demo account. I'm on Golden Goose Inc. and I'm logged in as an admin Phoebe. I do have your account pulled up as well in another tab in case we need to reference anything specific, but I am going to be working out of this account for the duration of the training because I'm going to be moving candidates around and things like that, so I don't want to mess with your account at all. And what we're looking at here is our home dashboard. This is what our product team likes to call air traffic control for hiring because it gives us a bird's eye view of the jobs that we're assigned to on the left here under the My Jobs tab. And then we have the stages of the hiring process across the top and our candidates in each stage on each job. And I like to point out these three boxes here that you see associated with each one of my jobs. So the bottom box, that when I hover says job seeker, this is our job seeker box, and this is where most of the action starts. So this is for candidates who apply either from your website or one of the job boards that we send your jobs to for you. So that's the free Indeed, the free LinkedIn, the free Glassdoor, or anywhere else you might be posting and using a tracking link. Candidates who apply, they're going to land here in the job seeker box for your initial review. The next box here is the passive candidate box, and this may or may not be part of your process. This would be if you're doing more active sourcing and recruiting. Maybe you're, looking on LinkedIn at profiles of people that you want to send a message to and see if they're interested. So these are people who haven't actually applied. You can use this create a candidate button at the top and assign them to the job as a passive candidate. So you know this is someone you're trying to engage. And then the top box is our back burner. This is more like a temporary holding place for candidates who, um, wherever you are in process with them, maybe you're not ready to move forward. Maybe you aren't ready to pass on them and you just need to hold them somewhere else besides this home dashboard for a bit. You can move them into the back burner and revisit them a little bit later. Any questions on those three boxes there?
Nope. Nope.
Okay, sounds good. Now you may see boxes light up pink. That means that you have a new candidate in there since the last time that you clicked in and took a look. So I have some new job seekers on my business development manager job, so let's go ahead and check them out. Click on this box right
So
here.
just one pause here. Let's say I'm a recruiter and I'm going in and I'm looking at it and this is my job and I'm assigned to this job, but one of the administrators goes in and looks at that bucket. Will that change the status of the color?
It should be per user. So somebody
Okay,
else
great.
looking at it. Yeah, you got it. Good question. Okay. So we jumped into our job seeker box and we've got a list of the candidates who've applied. And best thing to do is just click on the first name so we can check out the candidate profile and start reviewing candidates. So this brings me to Percy's profile here, and I'll talk a little bit about the design. On the right side, we have a document viewer, and this has our candidate's resume. And just keep in mind, because it's a document viewer, that means that we're not messing with this at all. What you see is how the candidate formatted this. And then to review the application, you'll see a tab along the top here that will say application. I don't have one on my demo candidate, but it'll say application and you can click on it and review everything that the candidate filled out. On the
I love
left of the
that.
profile, oh good, yeah, those tabs are kind of nice to let you to flip through there. On the left, we have our candidate newsfeed, and this is where all of the activity around the candidate will be tracked. So anytime you leave a comment or send an email or make a status change, you're going to see that all fill up right here as it's tracking that. So right now we can see Percy applied from our website about 15 minutes ago. And then above that, between the big green and red button, we've got the series of stages that make up the hiring process. So the goal, of course, is to move our candidates forward through the stages. And they are a guide, and we don't have to use them all. And it sounds like your process is a good example of that, since for the most part, sounds like you're going to be reviewing candidates and then moving them forward to the phone screen stage, or you're going to pass on them. So we probably won't need to use this review stage very much. The review stage is if you need to send it over to a hiring manager first to get their opinion. And we said probably not going to be doing that too much. So what we'll do is we can just hop right over this review stage and click directly on phone screen and say, all right, I want to schedule a phone screen. And then we can leave an optional comment here if we'd like. I'll say, looks good, we'll set up a call, for example. I'll click save, and now we can see we've moved Percy out of my job seeker box into the schedule a phone screen stage, and that's tracked here on the left. All right, now that we've reviewed, oh, go ahead.
I just asked this question. So we do have this process. Before we would send them for a phone screen, we would want to get maybe some assessments. Where would we schedule those?
Did you say assessments?
Assessments, yes.
Okay, so we have 2 integrated assessment partners that we work with that you're certainly welcome to utilize. If you are going to be doing your own sort of assessment, then what I would recommend doing is sending the candidate an email with the link to the assessment to ask them to fill it out first.
So then what works
So
at that point, or what bucket do they go in?
So if I see what you're saying here, so if you would prefer to, I have 2 different thoughts. I'm trying to decide, I'm thinking out loud as to where the best bucket would be for them because you want to move them out of the job seeker box because you know you want to send them an assessment. So you can either put them in schedule a phone screen and say, looks good, we'll send assessment. If they pass, we'll set up a call. That's one option. Now, the other option, let's go ahead and scroll to the next candidate who had applied here by using this arrow. Something you can do is you can put them in the review stage here.
Yes, that's what I would
Click on
have
it.
said. Yeah.
But then just say, let's not send a review request email to the hiring manager. We'll just use this as a holding tank and say, sending assessment. So that way we can hold them in this kind of in-between stage without queuing up that email to go over to anybody. So that might be a good holding point so that you can consistently capture the data knowing that the review request stage is when you're sending out those assessments. Does that make sense?
I think that would work well for us. So review is basically we're asking the applicant for more information. It could be an assessment, it could be a clarification on their whatever.
Yeah.
We can use our notes to reference it. When I send them, right now we use just a link, and that we email them saying, hey, thank you, we are considering moving you forward. For further information, would you be willing to take this 5-minute assessment? When we send them that email, can it automatically put them into the review workflow stage?
So sending an email to a candidate doesn't trigger any workflow. What I recommend doing is moving them into this review requested stage and then clicking that email icon in the upper right of the candidate profile. That launches the email platform. And from here, you can start typing if you want, and then say, please fill out our assessment. Or something else you can do that I recommend is creating a template. So that way, when you click next to template, here I have one that I've created in my demo account that says assessment email. Hi, Florence, thank you for your interest. In order to move forward, complete an assessment. And then you can put the link in right here.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need.
All right.
Everything we have to do is move it ourselves, man.
Great. What would you do in the case of, like, we left them a message? Like, how would you track?
Yeah. Let me finish off here for sending this email. Once you've chosen your selected template, then you just drag and drop the email address from this left tray into that to field, and then we click send. And you'll see that email is going to be tracked here on the left. And then we have this little echo flag that indicates whatever this candidate responds to this email. If they reply and go, great, yep, I'm happy to fill it out, that'll be captured here in the feed. But like you said, let's say that we called Florence and left her a voicemail. We're going to want to indicate that by coming to the upper right again. But instead of clicking on the envelope icon, we'll use this comment bubble to post a comment to her news feed. So I would say, left voicemail about assessment. something like that, so that you're keeping track of everything that you're doing here, and everything's going to be date and time stamped as well. So does that make sense? Any questions about moving to that review request stage, but not sending an email to the hiring manager, and instead we'll click on the envelope icon and send an assessment email to the candidate?
Yeah, so if, Janine, so from that review standpoint then, would you, let's say I looked at a candidate and I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with them yet, I probably would keep them in that first stage, right?
Right.
Like, do not move them until we either ask them for more information or we potentially ask an opinion from the manager. Kind of like we're waiting for a response from somebody, and that's why they're in the review.
Right, I really like this person, I want to see their assessment, I'm still not sure, but I do want to move them forward.
Yeah.
But these other people, I send them an assessment and, you know, we'll see what it comes back as, and if I get it, then I'll decide if I want to move it forward or not. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I suppose both of those scenarios you just said though would be in the review.
No, I'd leave them back there in the bucket. Like if I really like somebody
If I really like somebody,
and I want to advance them, but I still need an assessment.
Mind if I pop in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just trying to make sure that I'm understanding the thought process. So let me scroll to another candidate real quick here. So let's start fresh with James. Let's say, okay, this is a candidate that I'm interested in sending him an assessment, right? So what we'll do is we click on review, we say review requested, and then we leave a comment here like sending assessment. Is that the next step that we're thinking of taking, or are we talking about actually sending this person's information to the hiring manager so they can review the resume and application and get their feedback? Because those are
Oh, I'm
two.
talking a third scenario where I looked at James and said, oh, yeah, I want to talk to him. I'm going to send him the assessment, but I, from what I see on his resume, I want to talk to him. And maybe I send him the assessment, but maybe I just put him in the phone screen bucket then.
Maybe we do
Yeah.
skip them.
Then at that
Yeah.
point, like review,
Then you can skip that stage and say
Review
schedule a
might
phone screen.
if I'm waiting for if I'm waiting for a response from someone else. Like I send something and I need that information before I decide if I'm moving forward. The only
Yeah.
thing is that we never really.
I don't think we're going to use that field. I don't think we're going to use that stage. I really don't. Because if we're
Otherwise, they're going to
interested
stay in the first bucket
right?
if we don't use it and we're kind of waiting for the
So, but the only people in the first bucket are the people we're interested in, right?
No, the first bucket is everybody, isn't it?
But don't we move everybody out of there? Either I'm putting you on the back burner or I'm disqualifying you. Because there was no disqualified bucket, but there is one, right?
What is
Yeah,
that?
so
That site applicant, who's in there?
right. So when we're looking at a candidate profile, site applicant means they are in our job seeker bucket. We haven't yet looked at them and decided if we wanted to move forward or not. So the goal is to review a candidate and say, okay, I'm either going to move forward and I need an assessment first, so I'll put them in this review requested, or I'm ready to do a phone screen, or maybe I know I'm going to do a phone screen. I can say schedule a phone screen, also going to be sending assessment, or we're going to pass on the candidate. Now, if you need more time to think about this candidate and you're not sure what you want to do yet, you can move them into the back burner that's associated with any of these given stages. So if you go, all right, I need to put them in the back burner until I figure out what I'm doing. The idea is we just don't want them to sit in that job seeker box, because then you're going to keep thinking you have someone new to review in there.
We want to move on. The back burner could work. Review back burner is where we'd probably put them. Send them the assessment.
Yeah,
Put them in the back burner.
that's what I recommend as well.
So
And if someone had done the assessment and we have the resume and I still don't know, I might move them to phone interview back burner. Phone screen back burner.
Okay.
I know we're take a little bit of.
Yeah. I was going to
Sorry,
say,
go
Lisa, I know I'm taking you way off your course here, but could we go back to the first page one, like the main home screen?
Yeah.
So are there 3 buckets or are there 4 buckets?
So there are 3 boxes here. There is a box that isn't shown, but you can come down to the bottom right corner of your screen where this shows all your homepage options. And if you want to see a box of inactive candidates, ones that you've already rejected, you can.
Yeah, so that's what we talked about, was moving them into that fourth bucket if we're not interested in them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're on the page with you, and as we play with this, we will decide how exactly we're going to use it once we see all the features.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it might take a little bit of, playing around to figure out exactly, since there are a lot of different ways you could use it. Whatever just makes the most sense for you, whether it's moving them to the back burner because you're not sure yet if you want to move forward or not, or if you want to indicate that you're, sending out that assessment, you can move them into review request.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll jump back into this job seeker box here. Let's go to another candidate. So something else that I'll mention is just like we can bypass the review stage, we can bypass the phone screen stage as well. So maybe if you have a candidate, maybe ACE is a referral from your VP and you go, okay, well, I know I need to interview this person kind of no matter what here. You can just click directly on the interview stage and indicate schedule interview as well. Maybe I'll say it looks great. Let's bring straight in. So what I'm really trying to show you both here is that there's a lot of flexibility of if you need to use all the stages, if you want to use them all, and also you can go to the back burner from any given stage.
Great. So,
Okay.
so does the back burner relate to the home screen back burner? Like if I put someone,
Yeah.
if I'm in the review stage, it just goes into the back burner. So it's one bucket, but I can access it through any stage.
Exactly. So if I have ACE here, he's in my schedule and interview stage. So if we go to my home screen, he's right here. But if I move him to the back burner from here, great, I move him to the back burner and I go back to my home, he's off of this. So he's not top of mind for me. He's now, see it's red, he's in my back burner. So anyone from any stage you move into the back burner is going to end up in this box.
Right.
And there he
Okay.
is. And then you can move him out of the back burner into any other stage you need to.
Okay.
All right. So I think the next good thing to talk about is passing on candidates who we don't want to move forward with. So we've talked about candidates we definitely want to move forward with and get them right to a phone screen or interview. We've talked about ones we need to wait on an assessment for, and then ones that we just need some more time and need to move them to the back burner. So let's go ahead and go to a candidate that we don't want to move forward with. So I'll go to James Kimmel here, which is a shame because I really like Jimmy Kimmel, but not for this job. So at any point in this process, if you go, okay, we're done with the process for this candidate, we're not going to move forward, we're, to whatever the next stage is, and we want to pass, we'll come to this big red inactivate the candidate button on the right. And what's going to come up here are the reasons for non-selection. So these are pre-built reasons for passing on a candidate. Can't just pass for the sake of passing. We do need to select why. And you'll see here, these are broken out by, am I looking at his resume? Did he have a phone screen or an interview? So in this case, I'm looking at his resume and he just doesn't have the right experience that I'm looking for. So I'm going to make this selection. Experience and skills are not a match. Now what comes up is the Newton thank you letter. And this is our nice way of saying it's a rejection letter. So you can decide if you want to send one to the candidate or if you don't think that they need the communication, you don't have to. When you do send, you get to choose when this is delivered to the candidate's inbox. So you'll see here, mine's set for 3 business days in the future, and that's because, sometimes we review candidates right after they apply, or maybe we just got off the phone screen, or they just finished up their interview, and we want to inactivate them in a timely fashion, but we don't want to break their heart right away. So you can adjust when you want this to go out.
That's cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing you'll see here is that we're bringing in a template for you based on where Jimmy or James was in the hiring process. So we haven't even moved him to that phone screen stage. So he's getting the before a phone screen template that says, thanks for your interest. We've reviewed your information and won't be moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So this should be, really handy for you. And the default setting for this is that it will be sent from your corporate HR email address and signature that's set up in the company account But if you wanted to make it more personal, you certainly could. You can click over here where it says change to your personal templates, and that will adjust the language accordingly and then send it from your email address and signature and your user account. So this should pretty much be queued up and ready to go for you, and you can just click save. We'll see that James has been passed on and his reasons listed here, and he has a thank you letter scheduled to go out in a couple of days. Now there's a setting that right now I believe shows that only you two can, as admins, can choose to send thank you letters or not. But if you'd like, we can open it up so that if your hiring managers pass on a candidate, that they can choose to send a thank you letter. It's up to you if we want to keep that permission with you or allow them to do so.
We'll keep it with the admin. We just have to adjust who our admins are.
Oh, okay. Got it. So what that means then is if a hiring manager comes in and activates a candidate, they'll choose the reason. And then instead of the thank you letter window coming up, they'll get an optional comment window. From there, if we go back to the home screen, you as the admins will see this black stripe across the top of the dashboard that says you have pending thank you letters. So you can click in here, you can see who's been passed on, what stage they were in, the template that's queued up for them, and then you can decide individually or in bulk if you'd like to send or not send. So we try to make it easy for you to manage them even though your hiring managers are passing. Any questions about passing on candidates?
It was no pretty straightforward.
All right, sounds good. And then if you did open up this window here and choose to show the inactive candidates box, then everyone that you pass on will show up right here. I think it kind of clutters the home dashboard personally. I don't need to see all of my inactive candidates, but if you like to have it up there, you can certainly include it. All right, now let's get to the good stuff and talk more about engaging our candidates and actually getting them scheduled. So whether you're scheduling a phone screen for yourself or if you're scheduling an interview for a hiring manager, it's pretty much the same process here. It's just a matter of whether the candidate's in this schedule phone screen stage or the schedule interview stage. So for the sake of our session today, I'll just go ahead and show you somebody in the schedule interview stage. So let's go back to ACE. Now, we talked a little bit about contacting candidates earlier, and I just want to reiterate that we do have two ways that we can reach out to them. We can pick up the phone and give them a call because we have their phone number here. And when we do, we'll want to be sure to click on this comment bubble and leave a trace of that. So if we do talk to them, you can leave your call notes here, or if you leave a voicemail or send a text, good idea to indicate that as well. The other thing we can do is send them an email, so we can do that right from the candidate profile. Again, using that envelope icon, we talked about this earlier, we can start typing "Hi ACE," or we can leverage one of our templates. So if this was a candidate in that schedule phone screen stage, I might choose my phone screen availability template. This candidate ACE here is in our interview schedule stage, so let's do the interview availability template. And that says we'd like to get you scheduled on site. It's pulling in the next few business days, asking what his availability looks like. And just like we talked about before, we'll drag and drop his email address from that left tray into the to field and send that off. You'll see this echo flag here that indicates that whatever he replies to this email will be captured in the feed. So he's going to stay in our schedule and interview stage until he gets back to us. Same goes for the phone screen.
Would I just pull a report and be like, well, gosh, it's been like 3 days and he hasn't gotten back to me yet? Or what is your recommendation on tracking things like that, like when you're waiting for a response from someone?
Yeah, I would say that anyone who's in your schedule an interview or schedule a phone screen stage, we're assuming they haven't yet gotten back to us. So just from your home dashboard alone, you can see, who's here in this stage. You certainly could also go to your analytics overview tab, which I don't really get into on this call because you won't have any data just yet, but you'll be able to see how long candidates have been in certain stages. Does that help answer the question, or is there something more specific you were looking for?
That helps.
Okay. All right, so let's say that Ace got back to us. I'm just going to jump into his profile. Let's say that he responded to my email right away and said, great, I can come in for an interview on Friday. So I understand that your email platform doesn't integrate directly with us, but that's totally okay because what we can do now is you'll be able to schedule that interview with the hiring manager, on their calendar, however you normally would, if you're sending out calendar invitations or things like that. And then what we can do is click on this green interview scheduled button, and that's going to do a couple of things here. So it's going to move our candidate to interview scheduled. So we're not waiting on that anymore. And then the other thing we can do is queue up a scorecard request to be sent to our interviewer after the interview takes place. And this is how you'd be able to collect feedback on how the interview went from those interviewers. So do you currently have any way of capturing any interview notes or thoughts from the hiring managers after the interview?
Yeah, we have this process now, the scorecard process, but it's not very friendly. So I only really have one manager that ever uses it.
Got it. Okay. So you're talking about a previous type of scorecard that you were using. So I think this might be, is that right? You're not talking about these scorecards yet.
Correct.
Okay.
In our current applicant tracking system, there's a scorecard concept which schedules the scorecard after the interview is scheduled. But
okay. Yeah.
Really what happens is the reason it's an issue is because the calendars aren't integrated, so the scorecard is hard to use.
Okay. Okay. So I think this might be a good option for you then. So what we would do is first we would put in the interview date and time that you have set up. So let's say that we scheduled this interview with Ace for Monday, that's the 4th, and it's at, let me click on the time here, maybe it's at 1 o'clock p.m., for example.
Okay.
And then we can choose what scorecard that we want to send to our interviewer. So we're going to have some scorecards built in as defaults for you that you're welcome to use, but there is a ton of customization available. So if you like to use check boxes or yes or no questions, thumbs up, thumbs down, open text, drop down menus, whatever you can think of pretty much, you're able to build into a scorecard here. So I'll preview one of the defaults just so you get an idea of what this looks like. So this is the scorecard. Your users are asked to provide a numerical score. And if we hover over this little key here, we can see that we have the scoring scale listed so that everyone's on the same page about what a 3.0 is or what a 4.0 is. So they'll be able to put in a score. You can see that's a soft yes. I can toggle that. There's space for a written summary. And then scrolling down, you can see a little bit of the additional customization. So in this case, I have a 5-star scale for these different criteria that I want them to rate on, for example. But like I said, tons of ways you can build this out and you can create many different scorecards for any given scenario. So once you select your scorecard, you'll also choose when you want this to be delivered. So the default's an hour after the interview, but maybe I want to send it 15 minutes after while it's really fresh. And then you can even choose to have follow-up reminders go out every 12 to 72 hours, up to 2 reminders, if they have not yet submitted a scorecard. So we try to make it painless for you so you don't have to go bugging them. And the way that this works is oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a really nice feature.
Yeah, I think if you're already using scorecards but you're not really happy with the way that it works, this might be a good thing to try out and see if your managers are responsive to this. And it will be queued up to whoever's listed on the job as a hiring manager. So if you do have, multiple interviewers, you might have multiple hiring managers listed here and it'll send it to all of them. But you can also add someone else to this scorecard request if you want. You can just click on 2. Maybe it's Connie and Bobby. I can pull in both of them there and it'll go to both of them. And then we'll just click send. And then we'll see here that we've moved our candidate from schedule interview to interview scheduled. And we have a scorecard request that's going to go out 15 minutes after that interview. Any questions about moving someone from schedule interview to interview scheduled?
So you've got the event reminder there. So when they send the scorecard back, will it just show up in the communications log there?
Yeah, you see here next to newsfeed, there's a scorecards
Yeah.
tab. All the scorecards will be here, and you're able to see, you know, an overall average score, all kinds of good stuff. You can review all the scorecards, and you know, we actually have a scorecards training every week that's about 20 to 30 minutes. It might be nice to get you guys on one of those so you can learn all about how to assign them, how to review them, how to build them, things like that. If you're interested, it's every Tuesday at, oh shoot, you're on Central Time, right? Okay, so every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So if you're available, then happy to get one or both of you signed up.
Okay. Sounds
Do you want me
good.
to register you?
No, we'll look at it and see. We'll see who we'd want to send to that.
Okay. And if you are working on, you know, shuffling around who's going to be the admin, no problem. Just, you know, when you do settle on who the admins are going to be, just let me know and I can adjust the licenses accordingly. And then just know that whoever does have the admin license is going to be able to send those thank you letters and is also going to be able to configure the scorecards.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. So, any questions then about what we just covered here?
Nope, looks good.
All right. And just keep in mind that if you're setting up a phone screen, it's the same concept of moving someone from schedule phone screen to phone screen scheduled. You click the green button, you queue up a scorecard. So if you wanted to send a scorecard to yourself, you know, after your phone screen, you can, or you can just opt out of sending a scorecard for the phone screen. So that's up to you. All right. So why don't we say that for the sake of our demo here, that Ace has gone through his interview and he got some good scores. I'm just going to jump back to our home dashboard and show you something. Here, if you look at my candidate Hermione, she's got this little number appended to her name. That's going to be the average score that she's received across phone screens and interviews. So that's kind of nice. If you're using scorecards, it's easy then when you're on your home dashboard to see if there's a bunch of candidates here with numbers. You can see how they stack up for a given job and might help you determine who you're going to be extending an offer to.
A behavior score in there somehow. And just set the job behavior
It
score.
really would be nice, wouldn't it?
Manipulate the score.
Or the-
that somehow.
Great.
Yeah. So then, like we said, whoever ends up having the admin licenses should attend that scorecard training so they can learn all the ins and outs of scorecards. They're pretty great. All right, we are almost done with our candidate ACE here. We've got 2 more stages in our hiring process. So the next stage is the offer stage. And when I click on this, you'll see that we have a lot of sub-stages and most of them pertain to background checks. So I guess my first question would be, I know that you're using AssureHire. Do you typically do a background check before extending an offer or at a different point in the process?
After extending the offer.
Okay, so not to worry. So these don't have to be particularly in order. You can absolutely come down and do offer approval first. I saw that offer approval is already enabled in your account. Does that mean one or both of you attended the session?
I think that we asked John to turn it on for us, and he reluctantly allowed that to happen.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because typically, you know, we don't usually enable them before you've attended training because they're live immediately, and we like to make sure people know how to set them up and use them first. So what I'm going to go ahead and say is, since they're already on your account, I can either sign you up for a training session tomorrow on offer approval, which is at 1:30 Central tomorrow, or I can send you the on-demand link so that you can watch them as soon as you're ready.
Send me the on-demand link, because I did try to go in on Monday or Tuesday, and I couldn't find the link. I only found the schedule, and that I have a meeting during that time.
Got it. Okay, so I will send you for offer approval and offer letter since they're both already enabled. I'll send you those on demand and you can watch them as soon as you're able to. And that will walk you through the whole process of how to request, filling out offer details on a candidate, getting that approved, extending an offer, that whole process there. So you are planning to digitize that, right? Rather than just having people give you a call or walk up to your desk or send you an email whenever they want to extend an offer.
Yeah, well, we control all the offers internally, so we maintain a really tight control over that. So
Perfect.
it would
then,
be,
yeah, this will be great.
yeah.
So yeah, your hiring managers can come in after the interview and say, okay, I'm going to request offer approval. I'm going to fill out the form and it's going to go over to my admins and they're going to take it from there. Cool. And
Absolutely.
then when the AssureHire integration gets set up, which I don't believe it is yet. Let me double check real quick. Okay, it's not in there yet. But once the AssureHire integration is set up, I'll show you how this works from here. You'll click this button that says Submit Background Check.
Okay, so could we just pause 1 second, Lisa? Ann had to just step out of the room for just a second, and she will be right back, and this is the part that she really wanted to see. So
Okay.
I'll ask the question that so when I talked to Tanya over at AssureHire, they talked about the DOT employment verification and the PSP reports, which are all DOT required. They were under this understanding that they had to have an actual signature or a digital signature on that form. So those forms right now are not going to be able to be scheduled through the regular process you're going to show us here.
Okay.
Now, I did get confirmation from Tanya that they are changing the program so that it will be electronic in the future. So I think what Ann's going to want to see is how do we handle that paper process, those two documents that are on paper and the other ones that are going to be, just automatic as you are going to show us here shortly.
Got it. So the way that it works from within Newton is that you'll select from the list of packages that AssureHire makes available for you to select from based on your agreement with them. And then all you do is click Submit, and it sends it off to AssureHire, and they take care of everything from there. So everything that's electronic and integrates is going to be super easy because you'll just click that button. It's going to send it off to them. You'll see here that it's been submitted, and then you'll get live updates in the feed as to the progress of the background check. And under the Integrations tab, you'll have a background check option where you can see where all of your candidates stand in the process. So you'll get notifications as each part of the check is completed and when the overall, when the whole thing is completed as well. So it's pretty easy as far as just click that submit button and it sends it off. They take care of everything. Anything that's not electronic, I'm guessing needs to be done outside of the software here, because if there's nothing electronic for us to trigger, then, and it might be worth it to loop me and Tanya in. I know her because she used to work at Newton, so it might be good for her and I to chat just to make sure that we're on the same page about what's going on here. So maybe I'll.
She did send me an email saying it's not ready yet. The feature isn't ready, but they think they have a workaround if we're willing to. I can't even remember what it was, but the feature is going to come out where it will be electronic in like 3 months or something like that. But
I think a month. I think 3 weeks. Like she told me a month.
Did
she tell you 3 months?
That what they originally were thinking, yes. But she said, I don't want you to have to go backwards. And she came up with a different solution.
Okay, that would be awesome if Lisa, if you wouldn't mind connecting with her. So, because that's one of the main reasons that we're switching right now is because our systems are disconnected, and we really felt like this was going to be something that would connect us.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say if it might be good to have you guys on this chain. So if you wouldn't mind just, I mean, I've talked with Tanya before, but if you wouldn't mind just looping us in so that we have a thread going about,
Yep.
the cross
She's
country
got
freight.
an email, so I'll reply back and CC you.
Perfect. That's excellent. And for all I know, maybe this is just something that they're going to have to handle fully on their end before they get that part of the integration digitized. But if there's anything that I can do in Newton to make it easier for you, then it'll be good to connect with her and just figure it out if there's any extra setup that we can do to help you out here from my side.
Great.
Okay. We are almost done here with our process with Ace Ventura. So the next step is the hire button. So let's say you've extended your offer, he accepted it, you ran the background check and everything came back clean. The final step is to click on the hire button and then mark the candidate as candidate hired. Right now, I submitted that background check, so it's telling me it's not completed yet, but normally you just get a button that says, okay, you'll click save. And then then the candidate will be marked as hired, and then you're done with him in Newton. And that's really the final step of that process there.
So what part of the process is tracking,
Oh,
like?
sorry. So you're going to be sending them over to onboarding, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. That slipped my mind for just a second. So you'll click candidate hired, and then you'll click save, and then a window comes up prompting you to transfer the hire over into onboarding. So this is a really important step in the process, actually, is marking them as hired and clicking save. So we're going to send over all this information as well as the attached resume and application. And then if you are using offer letters, that feature, we can attach the offer letter as well. So then you can say export now, and then he'll land in the onboarding platform for you. And then you're done with him in ATS.
So in the offer stage, was there a part, because we're waiting on their background, obviously that's pending, it will show separately like PSP is pending, or will it all just be clumped in as background pending?
It'll say background check submitted, and then and it'll just be in the, background check stage here. But then you'll see updates, like if there's part 1 of 4, it'll say that here as they get completed, so you'll know where they are in the progress.
And you missed the demo with Tanya. We get a status update every day, so we see where we are in the process.
And that's also gonna be like, so let's say we do the lift test, or we schedule a lift test. How would we track that in here?
Yeah, I don't think we can do that. Yeah, no. Same with drug screen.
All of the results from the tests will not be housed in the ATS. They're all going to be housed in AssureHire. It's more of a status of, are these tests completed, rather than what are the results.
Yeah, there's some other things, like we have road tests. There's just a few, less than a handful of items that before I hit hire, I'd want to verify I have those things, those results in place, or I want to know like when it was scheduled or to be scheduled. So I was wondering how you would track things like that aren't in the bucket.
Like setting a task or something?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly make a comment on the feed here of what your next step is, or what you're planning to do, or if you wanted to create a follow-up reminder, you could click on this little alarm clock and set a reminder for something that you need to take care of. So those are some options for you there.
Can you snooze that reminder? We'll have to set up a new one.
That's a good question. I've never tested that. Let me see if I have a snooze option here. If overdue for Harry Potter. And if I click on this button, I can modify it. That's kind of like a snooze, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Huh, that was a good question. I've never been asked that before. Cool.
Right.
I learned something new. Thank you.
So we're going to set up a snooze button for every day to check on the background check, not the background check, but the drug test.
Physical abilities.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that works. Okay, so that was really the A to Z of moving a candidate from when they apply to when we mark them as hired. Any questions about what we've covered so far, or anything you want me to revisit?
Looks pretty good.
Okay. Great. So I wanted to touch on another thing while we're in here. Let's go over here to this guy. So I'd like to point out that we have this button here next to a candidate's name. If we click on that, that opens the candidate info window. And there's some good stuff in here, especially for admins. So it's good to know that this exists. So we have our candidate info, which is going to show some basic information, our candidate source. If you need to assign them to a different job, we have an assign to a job tab. If you're collecting EEO info, you as the admins can see the EEO information. And then if you need to request a background check or submit a background check at a different point in the process, or maybe you forgot and you need to go back, you can submit a background check at any time from right here. So it doesn't have to be in the offer stage.
Okay.
And then if you're ever creating a candidate and adding someone in manually, you can then send them an application to fill out using info request. So these are all just good things to have in your back pocket here.
Okay.
And then I had some notes from John about job approval. So was that something that you wanted to enable, or only the offer approval and the offer letters?
Oh, that's the one that he reluctantly sent up, was job approval. That's the one I was trying to find training on the other day.
Okay, because it looks like job approval is not enabled, whereas offer approval and offer letters are enabled.
Oh yeah, we would want both of them enabled.
Okay, so when somebody wants to open up a job, they go through job approval, and when somebody wants to extend an offer, they go through offer approval. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Do we
So,
do we can we decide when the offer approval is on or off, or like if it's mandated, or is it just on so it's mandated all the time and follows the process?
right, it's either enabled or disabled. So you if it's
Currently,
on,
right
then
now,
you need to use it.
right now I can create an offer, and then most of the offers do not have to be reviewed, but I have a few that I would probably like send on to someone and say, all right, for your approval, and so I can select it.
Right. So when offer approval is on, you'll still need to fill out a form and send it to yourself, and then you just click skip approval so that if you don't need to send it up the chain, you don't have to. Or if you want to send it up the chain, then you'll choose an approval process of who you want to send it to. So if you're going to use it sometimes, then we might as well just have it on, because you do have the authority as the admin to bypass the approval process if you need to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so you would like me to enable job approval then for you also,
Yep.
which means it's going to remove your create a job tab, and it's only going to have the request job approval tab. All right, so I'm enabling it for you reluctantly as well, but I will send you the on-demand link so that you can get up to speed with offer approval, offer letters, and job approval ASAP. And then I'm sending you the registration link for scorecards so that you can sign up for a live session on those for whoever it makes sense.
Great.
All right. Couple final notes I had was to check and see if you're using third-party recruitment agencies, if that's part of something that you do.
I think Ann said that it has happened rarely, but not something we do normally, right, Ann?
Right. Yep.
Okay. We do have a way that you can manage those third-party recruiters and allow them to submit candidates to you, but what I'm leaning towards is if the time comes when you go, oh, I've got somebody, who I need to contact an agency and get resumes from them, that would be a good time for us to visit that. If you don't currently have any positions you're using agencies for, then we can probably hold off.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. And then my last note, unless there were any questions.
No, I don't.
Nope, we're good.
Have any?
Okay, just checking. My last note was about Gravity, and Gravity is our employee referral platform and job sharing platform so that your employees can share your open jobs and submit referrals for positions. Is that something you wanted to look at?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, great. Let's take a look right now. So the great thing about this platform is that anybody at your company can use it. So they don't have to be a Newton user. They don't have to be involved in hiring. They don't even have to know what an ATS is. So it's going to be really simple for them. They'll just go to thegravityapp.com. This was built by our Newton developers. They'll be prompted to log in with a social network. I always choose LinkedIn, but if you click on social networks, you'll see we have 5 other ones that they can choose to log in through. So what I'll do, I'll log into my real Gravity account for you and show you what it looks like here. I can remember my password. There we go. So I've signed in through LinkedIn here, and you'll see that we have the Newton logo. That's because this is our live internal account. You can put your own logo here. And then let's say I'm an employee who wants to share a job. I have this share jobs button right here. That's going to bring me to a list of the open positions at my company. So these are the 4 roles that Newton is actively hiring for. So let's say I want to go ahead and share my sales account executive job. So I'll click on that. I'll be able to review the job description, and then I have these buttons up here if I want to share it on Facebook or Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google+. So maybe I want to share this on Facebook, so I'll click that button. It's going to generate a post for me to share to my news feed. I can say something if I want, oh, come work with me, and then I'll click post to Facebook. Now, if one of my Facebook friends comes across that posting and decides to apply that way, not only will they be marked as a Gravity applicant through me, your employee, but you can also choose to set it up so that I receive a vouch email saying, hey, how do you know this person? Do you think they'd be a good fit? So that provides a little more color for you guys as well. So that's the job sharing with your social network piece. If you get a lot of referrals and you think that your employees are going to be submitting a lot of referrals this way, they would use this button here on the right that has this link share. If we click on that, it generates a unique URL, which I can copy and send to my friend who's a great account executive looking for a new opportunity. And then same idea, when my friend applies using that link, they will be marked as a Gravity referral through me, Lisa, and I can get that vouch email. So this is really handy if you do get a lot of referrals to track if you give out bonuses or just to see who's a really good source of possible candidates and who's not.